Man the other week. He came second to Andrea Guardini on the first stage. Was an ever so slightly uphill finish. Now then, traffic islands and traffic furniture. I was a little worried then because I thought we were going to see something of a crash in between in the group, but it wasn't the case, thankfully. Just a couple of traffic calming measures. They come through the latest village. 19.8 kilometres to go. 2 minutes and 4 now. So the gap had gone as low as 57 seconds. And that little bit of an acceleration asked for by the organisers, as it seems. And this is how it's going on. And these guys, they'll also have a little bit of energy in the tank, because it's not as if they've been pushing on all day either.
They certainly haven't been pushing on. They've been, just walking at it out there. And again, they knew that it was to be a calculation where if you get to the 20 kilometres to go with an advantage and then really push on, and that's exactly what they've done, the two out front. But now we can see, on the front of the peloton, Lotto starting to appear, and not long until we see a lot more of the sprinters teams coming to the fore.
So Thomas Vauclair up and pushing right at the front inside the final 20 kilometres on stage 1 of Paris-Nice 2015. 2 minutes, that's the gap. Behind, we've seen Lotto Soudal as they are this year. Lotto Belisol last season, the Belgian national lottery team. The team of the people, really, as opposed to the big bucks money team of Ethics Quickstep. Both Belgian teams. And the pace is really up. 25 at the back there is Arnaud Genesson. 40 seconds back for Française des Jeux. Still Stijn Vandenberg is up there as well. And of course, mentioning Lotto a minute ago, Andre Greipel there. Andre Greipel, a top sprinter, as we start to see the pain face of Thomas Vauclair for the first time this season. 20 k's to go for the peloton in the meantime, and no more feeding for them either. Vandenberg right in the middle. Brad Wiggins doing the work for Sky on the right-hand side. Let's see what Ben Swift has in his locker today. Of course, Sky, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's a calm, quiet day, but it may be a headline day. The classics are coming up. Tom Boonen. And Tom Boonen is on the ground and not looking good. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It was going so well, and suddenly, that's a mess, Sean.
Yes, and we just see Boonen there. He was at the rear of the peloton. He had his helmet. He took off the cap he had under his helmet, and just a little bit of slope in front of him, and wasn't really concentrating fully, and down he goes. Hopefully there isn't anything major, but looks like that.
Doesn't look great, does it? It doesn't look great. He's holding his shoulder. It looks as though it could be another collarbone. He's done plenty of them, of course, Tom Boonen. He is a cyclist. This is the worst time of the year for him to get an injury that looks like that. He's already lost, of course, a bit of his shorts there. That's the least of his worries. It's not what we wanted from today, is it? Because Boonen was looking in great shape coming into these classics. Very excited about a duel between him and Fabian Cancellara again, with Roubaix coming up, with Flanders coming up before then, and Tom Boonen there. Well, whatever happens, he's not going to carry on today, is he? I don't think. Certainly doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't look like. And of course, Boonen, he's an experienced rider, and when you have done the collarbone previously, well, then you know the feeling pretty quickly, and it looks like that. Yes, but sometimes, yes, it can be just the shock of things, but it looks like that for Tom. He's holding that left shoulder quite a lot. Here
he goes again. A little bit of braking. The ditch on the right-hand side. He's taken down one of the Canada Garmin riders with him, and he was just behind one of his teammates up there. Tom Boonen being bandaged up, harnessed up. He's going to take no further part in this race. Tom Boonen will be going off to hospital. He'll be hoping that all is okay, that it's just something that's happened, and it's something that can heal quickly. But when you're preparing for the Classics, Sean, as a man who's won plenty of them, who's been in them, and this is possibly the worst time to get injured, isn't it? Yes, well,
it's the most important part of the season for a rider like Tom Boonen. The early season classics, the Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, the Cobble Classics, and there's so much work after being put in to get to this point. All the training back November, December, right through the winter to get to the level, and it all just goes 1 second of lack of concentration, maybe you can call it, or just unlucky. Not really difficult to see exactly what happened there. Did it slope in the peloton, or just was he not concentrating fully and touched the rider in front of him? We see the Cannondale Garmin rider, and down he goes, and the beginning of season is all over.
Unlucky Tom Bonan. We'll keep an eye on that overnight for you, of course, and bring you the news of the hospital test tomorrow when we're live with Paris-Nice Stage 2 on Eurosport, again scheduled to be 2 p.m. Central European time here on the home of cycling. But that's a really disappointing end to what's been a slow day today, and illustrates why racing slow can be pretty dangerous. 15 kilometres to go here on Paris-Nice Stage 1. 1 minute and 42. It looks as though, in the end, those out there in the front are going to take those intermediate sprint seconds. But we've had the very bad news of a crash for Tom Bonan. It looks very much like it could be a broken collarbone. We'll have to wait for the results of those tests overnight. But, of course, with the Classics coming up, Paris-Nice, a race that he's won 6 stages in previously. He'd been looking very, very decent indeed at Tom Bonan over in the Middle East. He's crashed, though. He's out of Paris-Nice. He's off to hospital, and he will not be taking part in the finale here. In the meantime, race situation is this. Quick Step riding at the front. And, of course, hearing that, there's got to be a reaction from Ethics Quick Step here, and they've got to... Well, that'll just shake them up a little bit, won't it, Sean? They'll have heard about it on the radio, and, OK, let's get Mikhail Kwiatkowski home safe and protect the yellow jersey today. Yes,
well, I think they might have been made aware that, Tom Bonan has had a fall, but I think, more detail they'll not be getting. They'll just allow them to control the situation, and they'll say, OK, look after Kwiatkowski, look after the yellow jersey, and continue as, as the plan has been laid out. And you just, you leave the riders work away up front, and at this point as well, there's a lot of riders up there with vast experience. It's not a lot of tactic information you need to relay to them.
40.4 kilometres to go, 1 minute and 38. Lotto pushing away at the front. Sky on the right hand side as well with Christian Knees. Stein van den Berg in second place. Intermediate sprint, 11 kilometres from the finish today. I just pointing out the traffic furniture. And it's been a slow day. So 1:37. Frances Deschaux coming up to the front as well. Christian Knees still leading things for Skyby, looking for Ben Swift to do whatever he can today. Thomas Vauclair and Anthony de la Place. It's been a good effort by these two, Sean.
Yes, it's a really good effort, and I think they were always thinking to keep something in reserve until they get to the point, that 20-25 kilometres from the finish, and really push on from there. And that's exactly the tactic they have worked here today, and it's worked out quite well, because 1:37 at the moment as we get to the 13 kilometres to go. It is a great effort, and it's put it's put a bit of action back in the peloton, certainly.
Wiggins on the front of the bunch now on the left-hand side for Sky in the black and blue. Astana right through the centre in those light blue jerseys we're used to seeing them in. Borut Bozic, the fastest man in their team. Of course, keeping Fabio Aru and Luis Leon Sanchez safe will be the main task for them. On the quiet roads leading into Contres today. Already past the slowest arrival time today. Stein van den Berg on the left hand side. BMC right in the centre. And when it is calm like that, Sean, and you get one of those needless crashes and injuries, does that have an effect straight away in the peloton? Do people start to think, hang on a minute, we've got to switch on here?
Yes, well, I think the moment that you don't have a crash like we see with Tom Bonan there, you start to say to yourself, okay, I have to be careful here, and everybody else, reacts in the same way. Although when Tom Bonan attacked, it was already starting to, the pace was up a bit. It wasn't anything like they had been going at a much slower pace earlier on the day. So, in bike racing, you just have always to be on your alert and concentrate all the time. But unfortunately, the day gets so long, people start talking to each other, and then you relax a bit, and that's when you can have some crashes at a very slow rate. And we see Bonan going down there. It wasn't a huge pace they were going at, but you can do damage at a very slow pace as much and sometimes more than when you're going fast.
Well, we've got the official confirmation on race radio of the abandon of Tom Bonan. 1 minute and 32. 500 metres to go until the intermediate sprint. They're conserving this advantage fairly well at the minute. No one team really taking massive responsibility for things yet. 3 teams at the front in different trains. 1:29. Sorry, Sean.
Sorry, and the situation is at the moment, with Ronan Dennis there at, so close in the overall. If the sprint is not really contested by the big sprinters, as we mentioned, so close to the finish, will they contest or will they wait for the stage end sprint? So we could see, maybe BMC, they could try something here in the final couple of 100 metres to see can they get Ronan Dennis up to take this 1 second bonification, which will be still for grabs on the line.
Yep, they're going to go for the bonus seconds here. 1 kilometre for the peloton behind, coming up towards the intermediate sprint. In the meantime, it's the breakaway up front who are going to go and take them. .129, 3, 2 and 1 seconds. BMC jerseys looking for them well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 jerseys down there. The green jersey of Ronan Dennis is not in that little front group, though. So it looks as though that may not well be what will happen. We'll see. Chance to move up, maybe. 500 metres. There is Ronan Dennis right at the back. It certainly won't be him. He was the last rider in the back of the peloton there. Would have been a good idea. Maybe Kwiatkowski can think about it, and that could be the thinking here. They're being brought up to the front. Kwiatkowski is being brought to the front, so clever riding from Ethics Quick Step. He's going to be led out by one of his teammates here. Not many riders attempting to try and follow. Maybe Luis Leon Sanchez in there trying to follow. A couple of Sky riders in there as well. Kwiatkowski being led towards that sprint, and it looks as though it will be contested in the end. One of the riders from Sky on the left-hand side. And they're going to take it as well. Difficult to see from up here exactly who it is. Let's have a look here. Looks as though it could be Geraint Thomas. It is Geraint Thomas. So Geraint Thomas for the bonus second. It could work from him. Initial idea was good, Sean, from Ethics Quick Step, but Geraint Thomas allowed to get on the wheel. Was indeed Luis Leon Sanchez coming in behind, but Thomas with a second to reduce his difference from the lead.
Yes, and an opportunity for a lot of riders there with general classification interests, because it's not going at a real fast pace, not contested by the big sprinters, so a great opportunity to just take some little time bonification.
Geraint Thomas now at 13 seconds of Michał Kwiatkowski. Brad Wiggins on the right hand side. 1 minute and 19. Inside the last 10 kilometres now, and suddenly there's some work to be done here. 1 minute 18. Surely there's not going to be something silly happening here today, Sean.
Well, we've seen the situation before when Thomas Buckler gets up the road, in a group of 5 or 6 riders, or in a very small group, as is the situation today, 2 men out front. Who would have even dreamt about staying out to this point, and 1:16 at the moment, with just under 9 kilometres to go, and working very well together, the 2 leaders on the road. And back in the peloton we can see there's a lot of teams on the front, but nobody committing big time at the moment, and if it continues like this, where they can hold the minute, it's all possible.
Well, the next few kilometres are key here. This really would be one of the more bizarre stages and stories in Paris-Nice history. There we go, confirmation on screen of what we were telling you a moment ago. Tom Bonan abandons the race. Suspected broken collarbone, but we will see. Sky on the left-hand side is starting to work. Lotto on the right-hand side. They don't want to miss out, really, for Andre Greipel at all. This is a big opportunity. 3 probable sprint stages in Paris-Nice, one of which is today, and they've got to start committing men to the chase. A few different teams realising that as well. 1 minute 10 now. Wiggins doing a lot of work on the rump for Sky. This is Thomas Vauclair, 1 minute and 8 seconds. Anthony de la Place alongside him. Vauclair with 2 Paris-Nice wins back in 2011. The year he finished 18th. The man behind him never won a stage of Paris-Nice. He's 1 career victory. That was in the Poly-Normande in 2011. And Lotto got plenty of resources to add to the chase here as well. They got the experienced Greg Henderson to lead the main man Andre Greipel out as we get a puncture for Ben Gaspar, and that's not a great time at all. Not a great time at all. It's outside the 3 kilometres to go. Still 1:04 though, with 7.6 kilometres to go.
Yes, they're really putting it up for the peloton at the moment, and we can see here Lotto are the team who are committed most at the moment, with 4 or 5 riders here on the front, and over a minute for the 2 leaders. It's becoming interesting and surprising that they're being allowed to hold that advantage at this point. I thought there would be a lot of sprinters teams who would really panic and start taking it up, at the 10 kilometres at least before the finish. Well,
there's a 4 km/h difference at the minute. The speed of those 2 riders out in front, 48 km/h, behind 52. The gap goes to under a minute. This would be a little bit of a masterstroke of riding from Thomas Vauclair. He saved all his energy all day long. He's really gone for it, obviously, alongside Anthony de la Place, who's been a willing worker and fantastic man to be with him there. They can see them up the road. 57 seconds. Danish fans on the side of the road as well. It's going to go down the wire here, and Wiggins wants some other people to help here. He wants other teams to take responsibility. Come on, we're letting it slip. And of course, as a former winner of Paris-Nice, Sean, he knows that the overall, not just today's stage, is won on the details and on very few seconds.
Yes, well, I think he's probably surprised that the sprinters teams are not appearing more, and he's looking for support here. Not sure if he was given that hand signal to the riders of his team, or was it to the other riders at the right hand side of the road, but
I think he was looking towards Quick-Step there.
He's certainly not happy and wants to up the pace a bit, because he feels that it's not going I suppose fast enough at this point in the stage.
Thomas Vauclair gets the latest advantage on the blackboard there. Of course, he's been having it in his ear, I'm sure, all the time from his directeur sportif. We heard from Europe Car at the start of the day saying they were wanting to try and animate the race. They had stages they were looking at for Brian Coquard. That's one team that's not going to ride, certainly Europe Car. Coquard will be in there waiting to try and get on the mix, and in it under 6 kilometres to go. It's still 50 seconds. The gap is coming down. The question is it coming down enough at the minute? Now, Lotto for Andre Greipel, taking things by the scruff of the neck and really putting some work in. Wiggins on the other side as well. And finally, we've been waiting for you, Katusha for Alexander Kristoff, and that'll add some firepower in, I'm sure.
Yes, well, as we can see here, Katusha just hanging in the middle at the moment, but not taking the front of the peloton. And it's a situation which we have seen on many times, where a team wants to hold back and spare all their men for that final number of kilometres, and that's what Katusha has been trying to do. Difficult one to do, because when you're not out in front, it's hard to keep all your manpower together. You lose some of the guys in the middle of the peloton there, but it seems to be that they still have at least 4 or 5 riders.
At least 4 or 5 riders. 5 kilometres to go for Thomas Vauclair on the right-hand side in the dark green and black shorts of Europe Car. The man with the black jersey and light green little panels on it as we go. Again, looks back to Katusha and says, come on, guys. You've got the most sprinter in form here. Why aren't you working? Come on. And he's right as well.
Well, I think there's a lot of teams here with, very good sprinters, and that's the reason Bradley Wiggins is not happy with the situation. As we see the overhead shot here, we see that, it's Sky who are leading on the front of the peloton. The rest of the teams are 2 bike lengths, 3 bike lengths behind, and Wiggins continuing trying to get the other teams to take it on the front.
It's going to be tense, it's going to be tight. 4.4 kilometres to go. It's down to 35 seconds though now for Vauclair and de la Place. Surely they're not going to make it, but they're putting in a heroic effort here on stage 1 of Paris-Nice. Again, Thomas Vauclair just buries himself into that effort, and I think the realisation that for him as well will have grown that there's a chance to do something here, and something really, really special.
Yes, well, I think from such a slim opportunity in that
it was never going to happen half an hour ago, was it?
Certainly in that final 50 kilometres you could say there was no chance that these two could go to the finish, and now it's totally turned around. And of course Vauclair is going to try and he's giving it everything, and they have been doing that from the 20 kilometres to go point, and they are working quite well. 29 seconds at the moment as we go to the 3.8 kilometres.
3.7 kilometres to go, stage 1 of Paris-Nice 2015. It was a slow day, a nothing day. We've since had an abandon from Tom Bonen. We've had an attack from Vauclair and de la Place. And suddenly, on a day when they should never have been allowed to be anywhere near in sight of the line, the two breakaway riders have 23 seconds going into the final 3.4 kilometres. It is a real turn-up for the books. And Sean Kelly, these guys have put in a fantastic effort today. Whatever happens, it's got to be applauded.
Yes, well, you have to, because they walked it tactically very well, just held on out there, and when they got to the point where they felt they could go at a real fast pace, 20 kilometres to finish, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
Finally, Orica Greenedge at the front with Michael Matthews in tow. We have Francaise Desjeux as well working for Arnaud Demar, and that gap suddenly comes down to 18 seconds. It's going to be really difficult to see something. We've got Yam Cycling trying to do something for Heinrich Hausler as well in his Australian National Champions jersey. 16 seconds now. The gap is in probably the process of being destroyed by the peloton behind, but they've left it very, very late indeed. 14 seconds now. Some big riding being done by Lotto Soudal. Big right hand turn to take, and this roundabout here, chance to slow the peloton down a little. To take the right way round, get into position, and positioning of course so important coming into these final couple of kilometres. Remember, the last kilometre is pan flat and dead straight. They've got them behind. They have nearly caught them. 2.2 kilometres to go. It is a fantastic effort from these two riders out front, but it looks as though we're going to have a sprint, but one that is going to be set up very, very late in the day. It could be really messy with all sorts of teams and trains trying to take control of the race, but perhaps not in the right position. 2 kilometres to go. Tong is out from Tommy V, who's at the front of the race. De la Place is on his wheel. They're giving it their all. But behind, very hungry. They can smell a victory. Sprinters team's probably going to do it now, Sean.
Yes, well, you can see they just have them hanging out there in front now, and more teams appearing here. So they're about to be swallowed up, but what an effort by the two breakaway riders.
Well, excitement when we didn't think we were going to have it. The dream is dead for the breakaway. It's a superb effort for Thomas Vauclair and for Anthony de la Place. At the minute, though, it is space for the sprinters to do their thing behind. And there's a lot of teams in there, Sean, but not too much organisation in the final 1.4 kilometres. They're all over the place.
Yes, a bit all over the place, and something you'd not expect, because it's been a relatively easy day for a lot of the big sprinters teams, but there is still a little bit of riders all over the place at the moment. And
the yellow jersey of Michał Kwiatkowski, the leader of the race, in there as well. Big right hand turn coming under the Flamme Rouge in just a minute. Just over 1 kilometre to go here on Paris stage 1. It's Orica Greenedge trying to lead things in for Michael Matthews in the sprints. Could he do something today? He's wearing the white jersey and he's third wheel at the minute as it stands. Bressel is in there as well. Hofland there too. Buzic hanging and surfing the wheels. No sign at the minute of Ben Swift for Sky. I think he's in there hanging in around 18th position. John Degenkolb's train up under the right-hand side, and it's a chance for him to go into the yellow jersey, remember. Degenkolb on the right at the back of that four-man train from Giant Alpecin. He's wearing the black jersey. On the left-hand side as well, it's Alexander Kristoff in the red, white and blue for Katusha. Lotto, Sudal and Andre Greipel nowhere to be seen at the minute. It's Buani who's got a great chance as well, and Demar trying to hit the front. Here comes Greipel now on the wheel of Demar, and it's Michael Matthews who's going to start the sprint along with Kristoff. Kristoff up against Degenkolb. It's Degenkolb who's ahead though at the minute on the left-hand side in the black. Degenkolb gives up. It's Kristoff through the centre. Kristoff going all the way. It will be Alexander Kristoff, and that is a super strong victory from the man on form in the sprints. Alexander Kristoff does it again. Win number 6 for him of the season. Buani's beaten. Degenkolb didn't have the power and ran out of gas. It was an almighty mess coming into that last kilometre. But Alexander Kristoff, with the help of Jacopo Guarnieri just behind him, this is where he went, Sean, and a super win from the big Norwegian.
Yes, well, he took it up at that point where he felt he could go all the way, and you have that feeling, you can continue the sprint, but when you look at the distance he went, it wasn't a really long one, where Kristoff can go for much further out, but very, very strong. It looked like Degenkolb was the man in the perfect position, but seemed to really fade in the final 100-150 metres.
Yeah, good performances too from Brian Koka and Heinrich Hausler in there. Nizzolo was up there, as was the man that we saw in the red, Nasser Bouhanni. It won't be another stage 1 win for Bouhanni. It is a win in the Ville de Contres on Paris-Nice for Alexander Kristoff. Oh, this is the sprint again. Just look at Degenkolb on the left-hand side, really just struggle. Last 25 to 50 metres, can't hack the pace. You can see him bang down on his bars. He wasn't happy with something. There it is on the left-hand side.
Mechanical.
Bangs the bars just out of your picture. Not happy. Nizzolo coming through the middle in the white and black. Kokal's the man in the green. On the right-hand side in the dark blue, you have Jose Joaquim Rojas. But the winner raising his arms. He can't stop winning at the moment. And what a time to be in that form. Alexander Kristoff ahead of Nasser Bouhanni and Brian Koka, with Heinrich Hausler in 4th and Giacomo Nizzolo in 5th. Kristoff the winner of stage 1 proper, and Alexander Kristoff, who started the day 26 seconds down, gets that 10 seconds time bonus up there, and well, if he has a couple of wins over the next couple of days, there's a real chance for him to pull on a jersey as well. Mikhail Kwiatkowski keeps his yellow for today though, and will lead Paris-Nice going into stage 2. So what a crazy day, Sean. Absolutely bizarre. We've had just about everything. We had that slow race that many of us never thought would end. But of course, it's ended with this man winning, and all the excitement in the meantime with Vauclair and de la Place. We were entertained in the end.
Yes, well, it did turn out to be a suspense in the end, let's call it, because the two riders, they were holding off very well, but as we see Kristoff here, he took up the sprint at a good time, but Degenkolb definitely, we see there, he had a mechanical problem. It seemed he had something in his chain drive. It looked like a piece of silver foil, and that's the reason he was punching his bars, because he disappeared so quickly out of the front line of sprinters. It had to be a mechanical. So 5th victory on the road, but he also had the points jersey over in Qatar as well for Alexander Kristoff. So what a day for him. And there's a sprint again. You can see Bonifacio in the pink and blue as well up there. Ben Swift just on the wheel of Michael Matthews, and everybody else behind trying to stay out and stay safe. First time he's won a Paris-Nice stage, Alexander Kristoff. But of course he's winning wherever he goes at the minute. We talked about him in the classics yesterday, and it's the right time to have the form. The trick, I suppose, now for him, Sean, is to keep it for the next few weeks. Yes, well, of course he's going to be defending the first classic of the season, the big one, Milan San Remo, and with the way he's sprinting at the moment, the way he's looking here today, everything going perfectly.
certainly is perfect for Alexander Kristoff. He wins the stage today ahead of Nasser Bouhanni, Brian Coquin in third place with Hausler fourth, Nizzolo fifth, Rojas in sixth place with Hofland, Bonifacio, Swift and Matthews rounding out the top 10. A sprint day in the end won by Alexander Kristoff. Guide us through the last kilometre here again, Sean, because we've got Orica Greenedge at the front right now with Matthews behind.
Yes, we can see, well, Matthews in a real good position. Anybody in the top 5-6 places here, as we can see, but we also see from Giant, you know, they took it up with some of the team lead-out men at the perfect position here, and Degenkolb was in a real good position, but unfortunately, you know, things went wrong. Kristoff also in a perfect position in the wheel of Bouhanni here, and it's all about, you know, just timing it right and being in the right position where you can take it up. We can see Kristoff here, you know, he gets to the point where he knows this is where I have to go now, and we could see Bouhanni just waiting, but Kristoff, you can see, the most powerful of the, you know, the top 3-4 guys.
Nice to see the Australian champions jersey up there as well, Heinrich Hausler. We wondered whether he would be with the best sprinters. He was.